Hey guys, it's coreross and welcome to 6 News. So today we're going to be looking at the new recoil of Ela, and specifically for controller players because I play the game with a controller. Now I'm not the best at doing these comparisons when it comes to recoil, and I'm also not the best with a controller as well, even though it is my primary device for actually playing Rainbow Six Siege. But I thought we'd have a look at it because it's significant change. It's also a new recoil because it's changed recently before, so for Ela players it's going to take a little bit of getting used to actually play this new one again, which is obviously a little bit of a pain in the ass. So let's do a quick catch up on history. Just a month ago, with the mid-season balance, and we got changes to Ela that made her recoil a lot better, and I thought it was so good that it was a bug, because they said that after 16 shots the recoil should increase, that meaning that the longer you hold down the trigger, the worse the recoil could get. I found that not to be the case, so I actually reported it as a bug, but apparently for the controller recoil that's what they intended, and as such it ended up coming out that way. But it now seems that they're backtracking on that, as Ela's win rate has gone up along with her pick rate. I expect if the kind of severity of them actually bringing this in quite late in the test server period is probably means that the actual win rate went up maybe considerably. I'm expecting the pick rate's not really too much of an issue considering we already have Jaeger at 90%, so I'm guessing the win rate really has jumped up quite significantly since they made this change. So yeah, that was my previous test of the 2019 recoil compared to that of the early 2020 recoil, but now of course we're actually getting new recoil with Void Edge. So let's get into testing these ones. So this is my new testing area location. This is me testing out the current version of Ela, so this is the end of the Shifts and Tides season. She got changed in the mid-season, and you can see the recoil is pretty predictable, relatively easy to control. You can see that there's no real increase in the actual recoil after a certain amount of shots. It's pretty much standard, and overall when I'm using this weapon I feel like I can control it relatively well. Sometimes there is a little bit of all over the place, but not much considering the rounds per minute of this weapon. So let's jump over to the Void Edge test server where we can see this new recoil in action. So for the most part it seems relatively simple and very similar, and then boom, totally different. So we can see that after, and this is specifically after the 11th shot, the recoil increases dramatically if you're holding that trigger down, which it didn't do obviously with the last one. Even though it was supposed to do it after the 16th shot, it actually does do it now after the 11th, and it's significant. You'll even notice that after just the 7th or 8th shot it's also increasing in recoil, but after that 11th shot it just veers off to the side. You can also see that just trying to control it with a longer burst I found a lot more difficult, though I would say the shorter bursts actually felt more controllable. So to be honest, maybe the controllability of the shorter bursts has actually gone up somehow, but overall if you're holding that trigger down longer you're going to have way more trouble with it. But it's not the worst it could be. If you're firing controlled bursts, I think you're going to be pretty okay with the actual recoil. But of course this is very dependent on how you feel about this weapon, how you're going to use it, and how good you are at controlling recoil in certain situations, and this is just an example of me doing it. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Now while we're talking about controllers, I want to bring up a change for all console players out there that is going to kind of mess you up to begin with when you download Void Edge, and that is they've actually changed the pinging and rate of fire buttons. I don't know why, and I do expect this will make it to the live version of the game, but I've got no reason for why they've actually changed this. But the default now is that if you want to ping something, you have to press up on the D-pad. Normally it's left. And if you want to change the rate of fire, you now have to press left on the D-pad. This is a really odd change. It's been confusing the crap out of me on the test server. I've been constantly changing the rate of fire of my gun while I try to ping something, and I've been slowly getting used to it. But it's a really odd change because I don't see any reason for it. Now maybe it's to get ready for their future implementation of a more advanced ping system. Maybe these buttons will change further, and possibly maybe they do plan to just put kind of the basic ping on the up D-pad, and they thought may as well get it done now so everyone gets used to it perhaps. But either way, that has changed. Bit of an odd change. I think that will make it to the live servers normally. At this point everything that's in does usually get there. So yeah, that's some interesting changes overall for Ela's recoil, and a little change to controller mapping as well. But anyway guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, and I will catch you next time.